Hey guys, what's going on? Hope you're doing all right. So today, this is actually a video I've been wanting to make for a little while, and I just kind of never got around to it. This one isn't as fun, but I think it's informative for especially newer players. Basically, I wanted to talk about some of the native tier 2s, who was actually worth building and who is not. So we'll just go ahead and jump straight in here. So you can see that I do have a lot of them built. Some of them are worth it, some of them aren't, and I'm going to try to go over those. So first of all, Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is absolutely worth it. But from what I can tell, for her to really truly shine, she does need a CTP of Rage or Judgment. I do have a Rage on her. She is really, really powerful, and she can get a lot of work done. But, you do need that CTP. So she can be an expensive build. Plus, she is a 1600 CCF character. Silver Surfer. This one really depends on how much you care about PvP. If you do care about PvP, yes, he is absolutely worth building. He's also 1600 CCF, but he's very good. He's very dangerous. He's probably one of the more dangerous characters to fight on auto, partly because of his reflect damage, but largely because of his third skill, which is a counter strike, and his third skill will one-shot just about anyone in the game. I honestly cannot really recommend Thanos anymore at this point. He's still pretty good for PvP, but pretty good just doesn't really cut it anymore. I don't really have anywhere to use him at this point anymore. He just doesn't really cut it. I don't regret building him. He was really good in PvP at the time. He's not great in PvE. But yeah, at this point, I just can't recommend it. And it's kind of a shame because, like, his endgame uniform it's really nice. It's good. But yeah, I just can't recommend it. Apocalypse. Apocalypse, for one thing, building him is a little bit different because most of the other native tier 2s are not mutants, and therefore they require black antimatter or chaos Nornstones, whereas he is a mutant. He requires phoenix feathers and the Emkron crystals. So building him, it's easier or harder depending on what missions you can farm. His main use at this point is ABX, Alliance Battle Extreme. He's pretty much kind of the undisputed champ of combat villain ABX. My build with him, I just do okay. I get about 3 million. However, I have an obelisk on him. If I had a rage or a judgment, I probably would get 7 million easily. But until he gets another uniform, that really is his biggest use. Cable is definitely worth it, although Cable, I have a rage on him. If you have the Summer Days uniform, which only comes around once per year, I think energy is best on that one, but he's really, really good. He is an absolute DPS machine. He's very good. Gene. So, I still use Jean in PvP now and again, but she is kind of falling off. So, would I recommend building her? Not really. it's begrudging that I say this, but I have to kind of put her in the no category. Um, if you do, PvP is going to be the main place where you get any use out of her. And she's still pretty good, but she's not, she's been outclassed. Now, granted, I have her old uniform. I never got the House of X uniform. I personally feel like House of X is maybe better for PvE, and this is better for PvP. But you know, feel free to disagree. This one really depends. At the time I built him and tier 3'd him, I was low on physical attack characters. There are better physical attack characters at this point in the game, so I don't need him. And I don't really use him very much. But he is a really, really, really good leadership. Wait. Okay. He's a really good leadership for Human Torch. So there is that. I would put him in it depends. Deadpool is another one that I would put in it depends. Deadpool shines the most in World Boss Ultimate because they have all defense down, which you can stack up to 80%. And if you use a debuff lead, such as Dr. Voodoo, you can get that up to 100% all defense down and absolutely cut through World Boss Ultimate. But when it comes to World Boss Legend, not so much. He doesn't have a lot of use in PvP at this point anymore, so I can't really recommend using him there either. So that's everybody that I have tier 3. Now moving to the... Okay. Beta Ray Bill, I've said this before, I will never not recommend building him. He does not need a uniform. The Epic Quest gets him to level 60, so even though he is expensive, he is technically still free to play. You do not have to spend any money in building this character. He does cost 1.5, what most characters will cost in terms of getting him to 70, Awakening, and Transcending. He is more expensive, but he is very, very good. I think I still use him on like level... I think I used him on level 90 of Cull Obsidian. And mind you, for him to have an obelisk and I can use him on 90, that's pretty damn good. Plus, if you like Thor, there's not a better leadership for somebody like Thor than him. And he checks all the same boxes that Thor does. Now, moving on to some of my other ones here. So, I really meant to tier 3 Quicksilver. I still kind of want to tier 3 Quicksilver. But the fact of the matter is, I just don't really need him for anything. He's a cool character. I like him. But there's not really much that I can do with him. So, would I recommend building him? I mean, you can get him up to 60 or even level 70 like I have him. But do you want to tier 3 him? Maybe not. There are better characters. Odin. So I know a lot of people who use Odin and love using Odin. He's good for Dispatch. He's good for GBR. He's good for World Boss Ultimate. He is good for World Boss Legend to a point. But from what I can tell, he cannot push higher levels. So either that or he just doesn't meet any of the qualifications. Or no, he can at least go to stage 10. But the thing is, I haven't tier 3'd him because I haven't needed to. I still would like to, but he's a very expensive character. And he is double cost, he is 1600 CCF. So would I say to build him? I would probably give him a 3.5 out of 5. He's really, really good. But do I need him? Not really. Strife. Strife is going to be very dangerous and very scary in PvP when he finally gets a rework. The main thing that he's really truly missing is a heal. He was one of the first characters to have Fracture on all of his skills. He used to be a terror in PvP. Nowadays, I don't know when the last time I fought him was. I don't use him for really anything anymore. So would I say to build him? Probably not. Wolverine. So, I never caught that. I always play the game with the sound down, so I never caught that his claws make a noise right there. That's really cool. That's a nice detail. Wolverine. Wolverine is very good with this uniform for PvP. Hang on. Okay, sorry. Wolverine is very good with this uniform for PvP. So I would recommend, if you care about PvP, you can go ahead and build him. I've heard a lot of other people say that he's also good for ABX. And I believe he has all 3 cancels. He does have Phoenix Force, so I know that he has Burn. He has Silence here. He has Burn there. Burn. Bleed, which doesn't really amount to anything. I don't have him tier 3'd, although I think he is on the short list. He does not have Paralysis. Unless I'm missing something. Maybe I'm blind. But yeah. So, what I recommend to build Wolverine, if you like PvP, well, actually, I mean, if you're going to get this uniform, you can use him for PvP or ABX, not necessarily both. But yeah, I think you can go ahead and recommend building him. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange depends on how you will use him and where you will use him. I've heard he's very, very, very good in Dispatch. I know that he's good in World Boss Ultimate because of his time freeze ability and he can lock down the boss. I know in World Boss Legend, he's not great. He doesn't have a bad leadership though. But he himself is a damage dealer. From what I hear in World Boss Legend, he just doesn't keep up. Now, he does have Multiverse of Madness coming, so maybe we'll get something else. I kind of would have liked to see a what if Doctor Strange, but I didn't really expect to. He was one of the standouts of that series, but considering that he does have a movie coming in the next year, I kind of figured that giving him a what if uniform was going to be a little unnecessary. And plus, this isn't a bad uniform, it's just, it wasn't built for today's content. Okay, I think I might, so that's everybody I have up to 70. So Doctor Doom. Would I recommend building him? Yes, absolutely. However, he is a huge investment. He is behind a crystal wall. You have to pay $6,600 to unlock Invisible Woman, and then you would get to him after everybody is tier 2. He is a huge investment. But now, if you have the crystals to spend and if you like the character, yes, he's absolutely worth it. He can do some PvE work. He really, really shines in PvP though. He is scary. I do have a couple of counters to him, but it doesn't work 100% of the time. Molecule Man, if you're not a huge fan of PvP, I cannot recommend doing this because he's just, well, he's really only good in PvP. He's not even good in squad battle. So if you like PvP, then you can go ahead and build him. He has a really good leadership. He actually completely nullifies somebody like Colossus. I believe he also nixes Captain Marvel's new passive on her uniform. But other than that, I would say no. Gladiator. I have to say no. He's not bad. He's not horrible, but for one, he does not have a tier 3 or a transcendence, so you can't take him anywhere. And I mean, really, there's just nothing to do with him. He's a really cool character, even though he's one of the most obvious Superman ripoffs I've ever seen. But I just can't recommend building him. Then we come to Dormammu and the Black Order, whom I do not have built. Now, me not having them built has nothing to do with their actual ability. It just has to do with the fact that I didn't have the resources when they got their rework. So Ebony Maw, I would recommend building. He is a really good support, and he can do some good DPS. Supergiant, yeah, I would recommend building her. You kind of need a CTP of Judgment for her, but I would recommend building her. I've seen a lot of one-shots in Danger Room with her, which takes a lot of damage. Proxima, I don't see Proxima a whole lot, but I believe it's in her leadership and her passive. So, ignores dodge rate by 45, that's not bad. Really? Is that it? Hang on. I thought there was more to her than that. Is it a uniform passive? There it is. Increases damage dealt to heroes and villains. So she's a really good leadership / passive for any villains. Now, Cull Obsidian / Black Dwarf with the Dark Obsidian armor. I would say that he's probably worth it. I do think he, from what I can tell, is one of the best combat villains in the game. The only reason he does not dethrone Apocalypse is because Apocalypse can cancel all 3 seasons. He can't. That's really all it comes down to. Corvus Glaive, from what I can tell, is the best speed villain. I am currently using Bullseye in his Hawkeye uniform, but Corvus is better. He does also have a revive, so he is a little bit harder to kill. And then we come down to Dormammu. Dormammu is kind of like Dr. Doom. He can do some PvP work or PvE work, but PvP is where he's a little bit stronger, and honestly, he's outclassed. I don't know the last time that I lost to a Dormammu, so would I recommend building him? Not really. So that actually covers all of them. The only ones that I didn't really talk about are the native tier 3s, which I guess we can tack on here. Not worth making a video for 3 characters. Sentry. So actually, you're going to get Sentry to 70 just by doing the epic quest, so just go ahead and do it. He's pretty much PvP meta. He does have a couple of counters, but he will definitely put in a lot of work for you. Plus, he can do some PvE work as well. I have used him in World Boss Legend. He can clear it. Not as easily as some of the other characters I've showcased, but he can do it. Mephisto is really, really good, especially for ABX, and also good for Dispatch, because he has a lot of AoE. So I would say to go ahead and build him. I kind of need a judgment for him, and I don't have one. So I don't have him at his max potential, but I still think that he's pretty good. No. Honestly, you might be able to skip no. Because even though he is good, he's not unique. What I mean by that is, okay, he has a native 5% Pierce, but there's nothing he can do that I can't achieve with someone else. Like right now, he's my best universal villain for ABX. I think I scored 3 million with him last time. Mind you, he has an obelisk. However, I know that Loki is far and away better and far and away cheaper. I'm currently building Loki, by the way. But null just doesn't have a lot of use. It's just not necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I will put everything in the comment section as to, who I would recommend, who I don't recommend, who I would put in the maybe category, or that it depends. But as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope that this was informative, and I will see you guys in the next one.